Hello, and welcome to today's press conference. My name is Fabian Marino. I'm the Vice President of Industrial Affairs for the vaccines business in Canada, and I am delighted to host this monumental announcement at our beautiful and historic campus right here in Toronto. You know, for more than 100 years, this site has been part of the bedrock of the biomanufacturing sector in Canada, starting with our rich Connaught history, fighting diphtheria and the early work in the discovery and purification of insulin, to being an essential player in the eradication of polio in North America and the eradication of smallpox all around the world. And today, a site filled with brilliant and dedicated colleagues who research, develop, and manufacture millions of doses of life-saving vaccines every year for Canadians and for people all over the planet. Now, before we begin, I'd like to introduce our partners in person here on site. We have Doug Ford, Premier of Ontario, François-Philippe Champagne, Minister of Innovation, Science and Industry, Vic Fedeli, Minister of Economic Development, Job Creation and Trade, Yara Sachs, Federal Member of Parliament for York Centre, and John Tory, Mayor of Toronto. Welcome to you all. Thank you for being here with us. And virtually, we're joined by Patty Hajdu, Minister of Health, and Vincent Hingot, Senior Vice President, Industrial Affairs for the vaccines business worldwide. Now, I'd like to invite Vincent Hingot to give formal remarks for Sanofi.
Thanks, Fabian, and good morning, everyone. So happy to connect with you, even though it's virtually. I would prefer to be in person, but I'm very pleased to be there for today's landmark announcement in life sciences in Canada. On behalf of Sanofi, I'm very pleased to welcome you to Sanofi Pasteur Toronto site, constructed a century ago, where some of the earliest breakthrough in vaccines development and production have taken place in Canada. While our history is our foundation, it is preparing for the future that drives us forward. This is why today, Sanofi, with our government partners, proudly announce a $925 million Canadian investment at our Toronto site. This new investment will further position Canada as a center of excellence in Sanofi global network of vaccine manufacturing sites. We are expecting this new investment to be fully operational by 2026. With this new facility, Toronto will become a key hub, helping to increase supply in Canada, US, and part of Europe of 4 differentiated influenza vaccines, Fluzone high-dose quadrivalent influenza vaccines. The Fluzone high-dose quadrivalent has earned recommendations for use over standard dose influenza vaccines in individual adults 65 years and older by the National Advisory Committee on Immunization, the NACI in Canada. It will be manufactured from right there in Toronto, produced by Sanofi at the Connaught campus in Canada for Canadians and people around the world. But this investment impact on Canada health will not stop there. It will become a crucial contributor for future influenza and other pandemic preparedness efforts, while also increasing domestic vaccines manufacturing capacities, not only for active ingredients, but also for formulation, filling, and packaging, and also growing the talent pool across the biomanufacturing industry in Canada. To make it all happen, we are privileged to have some of the best and brightest minds in Canada's biotech industry at our Toronto site. This investment would not be possible without their dedication and their commitment. But this investment would be just impossible without committed partners at all levels of government. We are pleased to work in close partnership with the Government of Canada, the Province of Ontario, and the City of Toronto to make this investment a possibility. I also want to take the opportunity to give a special thanks to Ms. Isabelle Hudon, the Ambassador of Canada to France, for great support all along the way and a contribution to making this investment happen. Sanofi has been at the heart of healthcare breakthrough, pioneering treatment for vaccines preventable diseases. And we continue to push ourselves to look forward, do more, and prepare for the needs of tomorrow. That's what today's announcement is all about, preventing the preventable and creating the vaccines infrastructure that help make that vision a reality. This is a big day for the site, Toronto site, and for Canada. Thank you very much for having me today virtually. And now I will invite Minister Champagne to provide formal remarks. Thank you so much.
Cher Vincent, merci pour vos remarques. I really liked what you said, preventing the preventable. That's probably a good way to summarize what we're about to announce today. So good morning, everyone. Bonjour à tous. It is a real pleasure for me to be here in Toronto today in such good company. Actually, Mayor, it's my first visit in Toronto in about a year, and Premier, it's my first visit in about a year in Ontario. So you can imagine how pleased I am to be with you today. And because when I was driving over to the site this morning, I was thinking, why is this so important today? Why are we saying this is a landmark investment? And what came to mind when I was entering the facility, as Vincent said, is that we're giving a new life to the Carnot Laboratories this morning. And that will inspire a lot of workers and a lot of Torontonians who for many, many decades have seen these laboratories and what they've done for Canadian health. So let me start with Premier Ford. Premier Ford, nice to see you again. It seems that every time we see each other, it's about job and growth. So I think we should continue the habit of me coming over and making an announcement with yourself, which is always a pleasure. Mayor Tory, dear John, I don't know if I can say that live, but I miss you. It's been about a year since we had a chance to get together, and I remember in my old days as infrastructure minister, we used to talk almost on a weekly basis, and now to be back together in Toronto, it's such a good moment for me to be back for something which is so consequential, I would say, for Canadians, but also for Torontonians and all Ontarians. To my dear provincial counterpart, Vic Fedeli. Vic, always a pleasure to be in touch with you, and I want to say, our cooperation clearly demonstrates that we do more when we do together. And you have been a good partner. I think in text messages, we have done more by text messages than ever in trying to move things along, and we will certainly continue to do that. To my dear colleague, Patty Hajdu, which is the Canadian Minister of Health, which is joining us virtually today. Patty, thank you for an extraordinary job in such unprecedented times. Your leadership is truly inspiring across our nation, and it's a pleasure to be doing this announcement with you today. And to my good friend, our new MP for York Centre, Yara Sachs, I would say the community chose her very well. It's a pleasure to be with Yara, obviously, and I can tell you all, when Yara speaks, we listen and see what's happening here this morning in the community for this landmark investment. And of course, our dear friend, Sanofi's Global Head of Industrial Affairs, Vincent Hingot. Vincent, cher ami, merci d'être là avec nous virtuellement. Merci d'avoir cru au Canada. Merci d'avoir cru aux Canadiens, aux Canadiennes, parce qu'on sait que c'est le talent qui attire les investissements. We have taken the habit of talking to each other over the weekend, perhaps because that's the only time we can find from time to time in these very busy days. But I would hope that we would keep that tradition to talk to each other, to advance many more projects together, whether it's during the week or obviously over the weekend. But really, really delighted you could be with us today. Ladies and gentlemen, we're here today for an historic announcement. Vincent Hingot just told you what this is all about, but I would say this is a landmark investment and everyone is winning today. I can think of the workers today who are going to be employed here and can continue a career for decades to come. I can think of our scientists and researchers where they see today in Ontario and Toronto an anchor investments that will help us to rebuild the ecosystem of biomanufacturing in Canada. And I can think of all Canadians who are winning today because we will be more resilient as a country, whatever may comes next. And we are here today because Sanofi Pasteur, one of the world's leading drug and vaccine manufacturer, has chosen Canada. And I really meant chosen, because let's be clear, they had a choice to go in different jurisdiction, but they have chosen to invest in Canada and its global production and distribution center for the high-dose influenza vaccine. And that says a lot about our capacity to attract investment in Toronto, in Ontario, and in Canada. And as part of this project, Sanofi will build an end-to-end bulk vaccine manufacturing facility and install a state-of-the-art product formulation, filling, inspection, and packaging right here in Toronto. And that's what we call normally the fill and finish, for those who have heard me talk about increasing our capacity. So there's two components to the investment that is being made today. And this project of nearly $1 billion is one of the largest ever biomanufacturing investment that has been done in Canadian industry. And I'm pleased to announce, on behalf of the Government of Canada, that we are partnering with Sanofi with an investment of $415 million in this very strategic investment that will have an impact for generations to come. And what I'm pleased, Premier and Mayor, is that as part of this project, Sanofi will be investing $79 million annually for research and development over the next 8 years. So that is going to help us rebuild the ecosystem here in Toronto, here in Ontario, and in Canada. They're also going to create 165 high-skilled jobs and help maintain the more than 1,000 existing ones here at this site, and also employ 350 co-op students over the next decade. It's only fitting that Sanofi's new facility will be erected here on the site of the former Connaught Laboratories, there, which is being a center, an historic center for Canadian innovation for generations and generations. Un des plus importants producteurs de médicaments et de vaccins au monde, Sanofi est vraiment un chef de file en matière de biofabrication. L'entreprise est présente chez nous, ici au Canada, depuis 1917 et a contribué grandement à faire mettre en valeur l'écosystème de la biofabrication et des sciences de la vie ici chez nous. L'investissement que nous annonçons aujourd'hui est véritablement historique. On parle d'un investissement de près d'1 milliard de dollars et des investissements de dizaines de millions pendant les 8 prochaines années dans la recherche et le développement. Le Canada avait besoin d'un partenaire international qui était prêt à produire des vaccins contre la pandémie d'influenza ici au pays. Et chers Canadiens et Canadiennes, nous l'avons trouvé. So, ladies and gentlemen, bottom line, when it comes to the next pandemic flu, we should be self-sufficient. Because if there's one lesson learned from the current COVID pandemic, it is that we need to have a strong Canadian biomanufacturing sector. And I think everyone would agree with that across our nation, so that when the next pandemic hits, whatever it might be, we will be prepared as a nation. And building and strengthening our domestic biomanufacturing capacity is also part of our government's recovery plan when it comes to creating jobs and growth in key sector of our economy. As I like to say, We are rebuilding our biomanufacturing sector here in Canada from one investment to the other by taking strategic, immediate actions with a long-term vision. And we're doing that with our partners of the province and the partners that we have in the city, and obviously with Sanofi Pasteur today. It is in our interest, I would suggest, both now and in the future, to have modern, flexible biomanufacturing capacity within our borders to ensure the health and safety of Canadians. That's why we have invested already, with respect to the COVID pandemic, more than $1 billion to have more biomanufacturing capability here in Canada to deal with the COVID pandemic. It is also in our interest to foster an environment where companies from here and abroad can grow and create well-paying jobs right here in Canada, and foster talent and expertise through science, technology, and research, because we know, and we all know, that it is talent that attracts investments. And this morning is a testimony to that. Today's announcement clearly demonstrates Canada's ability, and I would say with the province and the city, we are able to attract foreign investments and to develop state-of-the-art facilities for a made-in-Canada vaccines and solutions. So in concluding, I want to thank the Government of Ontario and the City of Toronto for their contribution in helping making this historic project possible. When we all act together, the benefit is for all. And I think this morning is a great example of that. I also want to congratulate the entire team at Sanofi, and in particular Vincent Hingot and his team, which have been instrumental, and our Canadian ambassador to France, Madame Isabelle Hudon, who has been critical in making sure that we could gather here today for this landmark investment. Throughout the COVID-19 pandemic, our objectives have been clear: to provide Canadians with safe and effective vaccines, and to return our economy, and I would say our society, back to normal as fast as possible. Today, we are taking one more steps with our partner to secure Canada's long-term pandemic preparedness. So ladies and gentlemen, I would say let's seize the moment. Let's be ambitious, and let's continue to invest in the health and safety of all Canadians. With that, I will turn over virtually to my dear friend and colleague, the Minister of Health, Madame Patty Hajdu. Patty, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, François-Philippe. It's such a pleasure to work with you. And, you know, amongst our colleagues, we all admire your boundless energy and your commitment to Canada, and your deep desire to not only grow our economy, but create a better and stronger Canada for everyone. I'd also like to give my regards to Premier Ford and Minister Fedeli, and thank them for the heroic work they're doing in this unprecedented time. The decisions are not easy. It is a difficult time for global citizens, but certainly Ontario is great. It's great to have you working with us on defeating COVID-19, on immunizing our citizens, and making sure that we work strongly together. I know she's not here today, but give a special recognition to the hard work of Minister Elliott, and let you know that I appreciate the close and collegial relationship that we have. To MP Sachs, I wish I could be there in person. We've talked about this before. I'm stuck in my little room working away on Zoom like so many other people around the world, but it is my deep desire to see everyone again soon. And Mayor Tory and your team, I know we've worked closely over the last year, and I want to tell you how much I appreciate you and Dr. Davila's leadership in this time. And of course, Mr. Hingot, Vincent Hingot, it's so lovely to see you. And I too wish you could be here. And I certainly wish I could go there to tour your factories in Europe. I do have hope, though, that we will get to see each other in person one day. And certainly this is a step in the right direction for the biosecurity of Canadians. And I'm very, very pleased with your investment here. Listen, I think vaccines are top of mind for all Canadians, indeed the entire world. And of course, this isn't new. We know that vaccines for a variety of different illnesses save lives all around the world every year. In fact, in Canada, we procured collectively 16 million doses of influenza vaccine last year alone, and administered the great majority of those through our strong partnerships with provinces like Ontario, and indeed at the local level, the many healthcare workers that and sector partners like pharmaceutical so like pharmacies that administer those vaccines on behalf of all of our governments to Canadians. And Canadians stepped up in an unprecedented way this year to get their flu shot, clearly recognizing that they had a role to play to protect their own health, to protect the health of their family members and their community. And we have seen the lowest levels of flu ever in our communities, largely due to the protective measures to protect against COVID-19 and, of course, the immunization campaign that was really tremendous to see this year. But we also know that we do need a long-term plan to access vaccines domestically, and that as my colleague has pointed out, the experience of COVID-19, I think, has taught all countries that we need to have biosecurity, domestic manufacturing capacity, and an ability to provide for ourselves, not just for routine illnesses, but certainly for unprecedented pandemics like COVID-19. And of course, today's investment is a major step in that plan forward. And I think my colleague's comments, François-Philippe's comments around not only is this an investment in the ability to manufacture vaccines, but this is an investment in fostering and attracting the talent that our country needs to continue to grow this sector. You know, we have fantastic young people now more than ever curious about a career in biomanufacturing, in the medical sciences, and having investments like the one Sanofi is making today, like the investment that Ontario is making today, and of course our federal investment, allows for an ecosphere for those young, bright people, those professionals from around the world who want to call Canada home, to see a place for their work and their aspirations. L'investissement que nous faisons aujourd'hui va permettre au Canada d'avoir accès à des vaccins produits localement, à la fois pour la saison de la grippe et pour être prêt si une autre pandémie. On ne pourra jamais répéter assez la vaccination est le moyen le plus efficace de prévenir infectieuses, la propagation de maladies infectieuses, qu'il s'agisse de maladies chez les enfants, de la grippe saisonnière, de nouveaux virus comme le COVID-19. Vaccines save lives. They protect you, they protect your loved ones, they protect your community. And they protect everyone working so hard on the front lines in healthcare and certainly in our communities serving all of us during COVID-19. We know that the less disease there is in our communities, the safer everyone is. It's normal to have questions. It's normal for friends and family to have questions. But you can help over this holiday season if you're meeting virtually with your family, if you're having conversations by phone with family members or friends that are wondering if vaccinations are right for them, please advise them to talk to their healthcare professional, to reach out and look at credible websites like government sources so that we can make sure that we're all sharing credible information about COVID-19 and other vaccines amongst ourselves. There are very, very few cases of influenza this season, and that's because of a high vaccination rate and low flu activity. And it's a great example of how vaccines can save lives and protect us all. Thank you again to our Sanofi partners. Thank you again to the province of Ontario, and of course our local partners for this incredible announcement and work that got us to this point today. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much, Minister Hajdu. I'd like to invite Premier Ford to give remarks on behalf of our partners at the province.
Well, first of all, good morning, everyone. And Fabian, thank you. I want to thank you. I want to thank Vincent, Jean-Pierre from Sanofi for having faith in the people of Ontario and investing in Ontario. It's a great day for everyone, not just here in Ontario, but right across our great country. Folks, throughout this pandemic, we've been making strategic investments to develop critical made in Ontario PPEs so we would be less reliant on others. And we're doing the exact same thing now today with this great announcement of vaccines. I always say we have the brightest, smartest people anywhere in the world right here in Ontario. And again, I'm very proud that Sanofi picked Toronto as a location to develop domestic vaccines. I don't know if you remember, I'm sure people do remember when at the beginning of this pandemic, when we were all scrambling for PPEs. And now we were looking for vaccines. And by the way, everyone's doing a great job getting the vaccines moving forward. But we are now never going to have to rely on any country, any leader. We'll be self-sufficient. So thank you for this. Today, we're taking another step forward in helping strengthen our excellent pharmaceutical and biomanufacturing sector. On behalf of Minister Fedeli and myself, I'm pleased to announce that the Ontario government is investing $55 million to support Sanofi's construction of a new state-of-the-art vaccine facility. This facility will help us meet growing demand for domestic flu vaccines, specifically for populations at greater risk of influenza. The company is committing to an average of $79 million in the research and development in Ontario, or more than $500 million over the life of the agreement. That's a massive number, $500 million. This is significant, as it could lead to more critical advancements right here in our province. And Minister Champagne, Minister Hajdu, MP, I want to thank you. I know, we get along great, Minister Champagne, from the second I met you, and there's so much we can do when we work together. Sure, we'll have bumps in the road, we'll have a few differences, but what family doesn't? And I'm so proud that we can partner with you. And I want to thank the Mayor as well. Mayor, thank you. I see a couple of my former colleagues, Councillor Pasternak and Deputy Mayor Thompson. Thank you for your cooperation. And MP Sachs, thank you. Congratulations. Welcome to the world of politics in Ottawa. You're going to have your hands full, as we all do. But again, congratulations. Because this is truly a Team Canada effort. And there's nothing and no one that can stop us when we have the collaboration of the federal government, the provincial government, and the municipal government. I always joke around. I talk to Mayor Tory more than I talk to my wife every day. So that's actually a good thing, Mayor. And of course, I'd like to acknowledge and thank, again, Sanofi for the incredible show of confidence you have here in Ontario. The new facility will create 300 high-quality jobs and facilitate hundreds of supporting jobs in construction, science, and agriculture. Now more than ever, we understand the importance of having the ability to manufacture products locally. And vaccines are at the top of the list. We know Sanofi is a reliable partner, world-class company. Last flu season, again, thanks to Sanofi, we vaccinated more Ontarians than ever before in the history of this country. By supporting companies like Sanofi, we will continue to strengthen our thriving pharmaceutical sector with Made in Ontario products. Again, thank you everyone, and God bless the people of Ontario. Thank you. I got everyone except my buddy, my best salesperson.
All right, boss.
Hold on, let me go back here, folks. You know, something isn't ironic. I forget my top sales guy, and then that's the problem when you name all the people. Minister Vic Fedeli, the guy's a champion. He knows I love him. I apologize. I'm going to have to buy you a few lunches over that one. Thank you. Thanks, Bill. Sorry.
I'll take that as the introduction.
Why?
Well, hello, everybody. Look, I want to use this opportunity to say welcome, first of all, and congratulations to Sanofi. I want to say welcome to all of our federal partners who are here today and our municipal partners. And I will say, Minister Champagne, François, he talked about the texting diplomacy, as I call it. We certainly get a tremendous amount of work done through texting with each other, and I know our staff may not enjoy the fact that we work so closely together, but I can tell you I certainly do. Premier Ford, it's always great to see you. Boss, it's great to see you. You know, our Ministry of Economic Development, Job Creation and Trade, our job in all of this is to build on Ontario's strong foundation to create the growth we need for a robust economy. Premier Ford says it all the time. We don't create jobs, we create the environment for you to create the jobs, and that's certainly what Sanofi has done here today. And we can all agree that without healthy people, we will not have a healthy economy. So our government's primary focus is to protect every single life and every job we possibly can from the effects of COVID-19. Ontario's action plan, Protecting People's Health and Our Economy, is the next phase of our government's response to COVID-19. Brings our total investment to $16.3 billion to protect people's health and $23.3 billion to protect our economy. Our COVID-19 action plan now totals $51 billion. And that budget is making good on our commitment to do whatever it takes to keep people safe while building on the foundation to create the growth we need for a strong economy. And that is why supporting this Sanofi project is so important to Ontario. With Ontario's support, as the Premier mentioned, $55 million, we're pleased that this new facility will strengthen our domestic capacity to meet the growing demand for flu vaccines, boost our preparedness for future pandemics, and create hundreds of high-quality jobs right here in Ontario. We'd also like to thank our federal partners, the province, the City of Toronto, for all of their tremendous support towards the construction of what will be a state-of-the-art facility, and quite frankly, the anchor, the future of Ontario's biomanufacturing sector. We're thrilled that this project will include an industrial start-to-finish formulation, filling, and packaging facility. This is a key requirement to pandemic preparedness. This project will result in the production of more flu shots in Ontario, provide a strong anchor to the province's pharmaceutical industry, and make the province a strong candidate for future vaccine production. I must say, Fabian and others from Sanofi, it was really fantastic to meet with Sanofi senior leadership in Paris during our Ontario's Open for Business, Open for Jobs European mission. And we followed that. The Premier enjoyed his tour. I enjoyed the tour we had of this wonderful campus the following September. It was then that we really saw the true breadth and depth of the history of Sanofi and the future of Sanofi as well. With more than a century of innovation and discovery, it's no surprise that, as Minister Champagne mentioned, the research and development will continue right here at Sanofi's Connaught site. We want to see more of these kinds of projects across the province and are excited about our latest efforts to bring investments that create really good, well-paying jobs in the province, and that's why we launched last week Invest Ontario, a brand new investment attraction agency, and this will promote the province as a key investment destination, making Ontario more competitive while sending a very strong signal to investors that Ontario is indeed open for business. So this one-stop shop will deal primarily on the three sectors we've already have a competitive advantage in Ontario: advanced manufacturing, technology, and of course right here in life sciences. So we know that this kind of government support and Sanofi's investment, these are crucial steps towards the security of our province against any future pandemic emergency. This is what we need to help unleash Ontario. So we're very, very grateful for this announcement today, and it's now my pleasure to introduce the Mayor of Toronto, Mayor John Tory.
Well done.
Well, good morning. Bonjour. Thank you very much, Minister Fedeli, who is, as the Premier said, a great salesperson for Ontario, and that helps Toronto. We all work together to benefit everybody, and I want to say a particular word of thanks as well to my friend, Minister Champagne, as well as to Minister Hajdu, who spoke to us virtually, and to Premier Ford. We all do work together at 99.99% of the time, and it shows because we get a lot done, especially during pandemic times, but other times as well. We have productive, constructive relationships with one another, notwithstanding some of the pressures that politics sometimes bring to bear. And the biggest word of thanks today should go to our friends from Sanofi, including Vincent, Jean-Pierre, Fabien, and Kate Winchester. It takes a team in business as well, and sometimes a partnership, oftentimes a partnership with governments, plural, to get things like this done, and they have certainly been excellent, building on the great historic Canadian roots of this company. And that's what makes it a great day for Toronto, and I'm particularly proud to have two of my colleagues here today with me from the Toronto City Council, Deputy Mayor Michael Thompson, who is the chair of the city's Economic Development Committee, and also Councillor James Pasternak, who represents this area, and they've both been very helpful and will continue to be helpful as we welcome this new investment in the City of Toronto. You know, COVID-19 has had many negative aspects to it, many tragic aspects to it, but it has also been something that has taught us a lot about ourselves and about our country and our city and our province. And it's taught us the importance of being prepared, perhaps like nothing else ever has, and the work that it takes to respond to emergencies, whether they be health-related or not. Today's announcement is a demonstration, an actual, tangible demonstration of the fact that we all collectively are learning the lessons of the pandemic and that we're working together to prepare for the future. By doing this, we're ensuring that Canada is ready to be leaders when it comes to biomanufacturing and vaccine development. We know that we have the history in this country, right here in this very company. We have the history, and elsewhere we have the companies and we have the smart people that can allow us to stand confidently on our own 2 feet going forward. This new facility, realized thanks to this incredible partnership between all of the governments and Sanofi, will dramatically increase Canada's domestic vaccine manufacturing capacity and future pandemic preparedness efforts. Torontonians and Canadians can know that their governments are working with companies like Sanofi to address the pressing long-term need for facilities like this, which will help us to meet our vaccine supply needs. The expansion of Sanofi's Toronto site is a testament to the strength of Toronto's medical and healthcare and life sciences sector. It is a sector that is respected and ranks globally, and that is something that we want to build on, and Sanofi is helping us to do that today with the partnership of all the governments. We've always been a city that is welcoming of new business and new people, and we pride ourselves on creating an environment where anyone can come here and invest and prosper. And even as we continue to fight this global pandemic, global companies continue to choose Toronto. Sanofi today, Reddit earlier this week, and we will work hard to keep them coming here. The list does go on. Merci Sanofi et merci au gouvernement Trudeau et Ford. C'est bon pour notre santé, c'est bon pour les emplois, bon pour Toronto et bon pour le Canada. C'est une bonne nouvelle à un moment où nous avons besoin de la même chose. I want to thank Sanofi for choosing Toronto for its expansion plans and for creating new jobs and opportunities right here in Toronto. Through our Gold Star program, and the Premier made reference to this, that we're going to get this done. We're going to get this place built. We're going to get this facility built. We're going to do it in a way that expedites the review and approval process. Bottom line, we're just going to get it done without hassle. And as Mayor, working with my government partners, I will be continuing to do everything that I can to attract more jobs and investment to Toronto, including from Sanofi. This is not the end, it's the beginning. I hope that each and every day I can devote myself in some way to make sure Sanofi finds this the best place in the world that they can invest. I will strongly support Sanofi's participation in our Imagination, Manufacturing, Innovation and Technology, the IMIT program. This huge investment made by these governments and by this company in particular in biomedical enterprise seems tailor-made for this City of Toronto financial incentive. I also want to thank the federal and provincial governments for working together and with us to bring this to fruition. We have come this far in the pandemic because we have worked together, and now is no time to stop. It's no time to start to stop. It's just time to keep working together. Let's get everyone vaccinated. Let's get everyone healthy, and let's get everyone back to work and back to the lives that we treasure. Today's announcement is a good example of what good can come from us all working together like we have throughout the pandemic and working with wonderful companies like Sanofi. Sanofi, thank you again for your confidence in Toronto and for your confidence in Canada. And I said, and I repeat, As mayor, I do everything possible to make sure every single day is better than the one before for you as an investor and as an employer and as a good corporate citizen of this great city. Merci. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Are we taking questions, or are we on our way?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Mayor Tory, and wow, wonderful remarks from all of you, so thank you so much. What a pleasure to have all of you as partners. What a great story today. Okay, so we'll now open the lines for questions, and please note that we'll have available, in addition to our speakers today, we'll have available Jean-Pierre Bellet, he's General Manager, Sanofi Pasteur, for product-related questions. And we'll have Kate Winchester from the Portfolio Office for project-related questions. So for the media, we're friends of the media, *1. And we would like, if it's possible, to keep it to one question and one follow-up. And a reminder as well to please state who you'd like to address the question. Okay, we open questions now.
Thank you. Merci. Please press *1 at this time if you have a question. S'il vous plaît, appuyez sur l'étoile maintenant pour poser une question. There will be a brief pause while participants register for questions. Il y aura un court délai vous permettant de vous enregistrer dans la file d'attente. Our first question is from Ryan Timothy from the National Post. Please go ahead. À vous la parole.
Yeah, this one's for Minister Champagne. Canada has the ability to produce influenza vaccines, both at Sanofi and at the JSK facility in Quebec, and there's even a contract specifically for a pandemic flu. I'm wondering why make a big investment in a influenza flu vaccine when there are so many things that Canada doesn't have when it comes to vaccines, including any mRNA vaccine production capability.
Well, thank you first for the question, and I'm sure my colleague Patty Hajdu may want to complement that. Well, we already invested in COVID-related vaccine. Let's be clear. This is something that has already been done. We've invested close to $1 billion in biomanufacturing when it comes to COVID. You will remember that I think the World Health Organization declared COVID-19 as a pandemic on March 11, 2020. And within 12 days of that, we had put $200 million to support our biomanufacturing domestically. And within 30 days, we added another $600 million. And now we're close to $1.2 billion, which has been invested in domestic capacity. You can think of Medicago in Quebec City. You can think of Accelera, Precision Nanosystem in Vancouver. You can think of Vido in Saskatchewan. So we have done these investments. But what we're looking now and what this today is about the long term. This is about today. This is making sure that we attract a leading vaccine manufacturer for influenza. We don't know exactly what the future holds, but one thing we have all learned at all levels of government, and Canadians expect us to do, is to be more resilient. And today, the fact that we can attract a $1 billion investment to increase the resiliency of our country when it comes to vaccine, in this case influenza, and should there be a need, there would be more fill and finish capacity in Canada, which is one of the gaps that we had identified at the get-go to make sure that we have more fill and finish capacity, and Sanofi would be able to provide that. So I think today, I would say, is an historic investment in the sense that the Connaught Laboratories have been part of this nation life sciences industry. It's good for workers, good for the ecosystem. I think the Premier said it, and the Mayor. This is not only about biomanufacturing, but this is about rebuilding a very core sector of our economy. And if you look around the world, to attract these type of investment, there's always governments needs to be part of the equation. So with that, I'm happy to turn to Minister Hajdu. or you may want to go ahead. Maybe we lost Minister Hajdu one way or the other, but happy if you have a follow-up question.
Oh, yeah. As a follow-up then, does this investment include any actual contract for Sanofi to produce vaccines for the government of Canada, or will that come separate at some later date when the facility is up and running?
So I think Minister Hajdu may want to get on the line on that. If we don't get her, I'm happy to answer that question, obviously. No, I think we may have lost Minister Hajdu, I'm told. So yes, as you know, there's a GSK contract. The facility which is doing influenza for Canada in Sainte-Foy is coming to term. There are negotiations between the government of Canada and obviously Sanofi with respect to the flu vaccine. This facility will be in production close to 2027. And that is a function of the size of the investment. You know, you cannot invest $1 billion and expect the factory and all the equipment to be there within months. But in the meantime, there's a plan to make sure that Canadians are kept safe at all times and to transition from one to the other. And that, in my view, what you need to see today, it's not only about that, but it's also about the decades to come where we're going to be more resilient and use that as a base for research, scientific research in the ecosystem. But I see Minister Hajdu back online, and I'm sure she may want to add something. I see her smiling, so I'm sure she may want to add something to that.
Well, thanks. I think you've covered it, colleague, very well. But I think, listen, I think, you know, what we've realized, I think the world has realized is that having a strong biomanufacturing landscape isn't about one particular remedy. It's about building up that landscape. And this is a very exciting news. Like my colleague said in his remarks, Sanofi can choose to really do this type of manufacturing anywhere. The fact that they've chosen Canada is a great news story for Canadians, and it is part of the solution to having a stronger sector, better opportunities to not just create jobs, but to recruit people into this field and sector for influenza and many other health crises that no doubt will arise. I mean, listen, I think being prepared from a biomanufacturing perspective, it's not a short-term project, it's a long-term project, and there's many puzzle pieces that fit together. And today is a very important piece of the foundation of our progress as a country to strengthen our own domestic capacity to produce all kinds of supports during a medical crisis and to support ongoing health of Canadians.
If maybe, Mr. Champagne, if you allow me to help you a bit over here also.
Yeah.
Is, okay, in case of pandemic, okay, what we experience with the COVID situation is that, yes, for sure, we are talking about the active ingredients, but okay, and you mentioned it in your speech, Minister Champagne, the formulation, filling, inspection, and packaging capacity are also very important. And these steps are common for all vaccines. You are talking about mRNA or whatever vaccines, it will be suitable as well. So that's what we face when we face this COVID-19 pandemic, is that we were lacking worldwide about formulation, filling, inspection, packaging capacities. With this project, Canada will have such kind of capacities in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. The following question is from Marieke Walsh from the Globe and Mail. Please go ahead. À vous la parole.
Hi there. Thanks so much for taking my question. This is a question both for Premier Ford as well as for Minister Hajdu. The Premier has talked repeatedly about the inconsistency in delivery of vaccines, but some Liberals are also criticizing the province for quote-unquote stockpiling hundreds of thousands of vaccines. So if this is not the right way for provinces to manage the supplies of vaccines, what is?
Well, Minister, I'm going to jump in here first. You know, I'm not going to start wedging on a great announcement us against the federal government. We've collaborated from day one with the federal government and with the municipalities, all 444. We're very grateful for our relationship, and I think this is just a fabulous announcement for biomanufacturing and future vaccine producers here in Ontario. So I'm not taking the bait, my friend. Over to you, Minister.
Well, thanks, Premier. And listen, I think, there's obviously a high degree of desire to get everybody immunized all across the country. And the good news is that we have millions upon millions of doses arriving week over week. In fact, 3.5 million roughly by the end of this week into Canada, and then out through provinces and territories. I think what we have to realize is this is a monumental shared task. And so the federal government has a role and responsibility that we've taken on to procure and bring these vaccines to Canada and pay for them. And the provinces and territories are unrolling those vaccines across their own jurisdictions. We know that provinces and territories are the right people to administer vaccines. They do it every year. I just mentioned 16 million vaccinations for influenza last year, and they have systems, structures, and relationships to do that. So I would just say that, things are getting brighter by the day in terms of access for vaccines, and jurisdictions are working as hard as they can to get them into arms as quickly as possible.
And I want to add on to that. I want to thank the federal government for, moving the Pfizer shipments up to June. Those are game changers. J&J as well. A great announcement. What I heard actually on the news, but I think it's still a great announcement. So we got to continue working together. And Enrique, are we going to have, as a big family, a few differences? Sure we are. But for all the things that we've moved forward, it's incredible how collaborative we've been at all three levels of government. So we're going to continue doing that. But thank you for the question.
And thank you for the responses. My next question is also for you, Premier Ford. The province today is marking the highest number of COVID patients in critical care at one time since the pandemic began last year. How do you explain to Ontarians why the province is continuing to loosen restrictions at this time?
And stay tuned. You'll hear an announcement tomorrow. But I'm very, very concerned to see the cases go up. I'm very concerned to see the ICU capacity, and we all have to be vigilant. And throughout the holidays over the next few days, I'm just asking people, don't gather in large groups. Don't have big gatherings, and follow the protocols of the Chief Medical Officer, and we'll be able to get through this, and we'll be able to get more vaccines into people's arms, and there's light at the end of the tunnel here, folks. We only have a little ways to go. It's still going to be a tough haul, but we're getting there. So let's stay confident. We will get through this together, and we will get back to normal. And as Minister Champagne said, we'll get the economy booming once again. As sure as I'm sitting here, and all three levels of government are going to do whatever it takes to make that happen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our following question is from Abigail Bivens from the Global News. Please go ahead. À vous la parole.
My question is for Minister Hajdu, but before you take my question, I'm just wondering if the tech person could make sure Minister Hajdu is full screen so that the steel bar is only at the side of her face instead of bisecting it directly down the middle, if possible. My question for Minister Hajdu is, how concerned are you about Canadians gathering over Easter weekend, and what is your message to families who are looking to celebrate Easter in terms of what you would tell them in terms of how to do that? And if the Mayor or the Premier wishes to weigh in as well, that would be great.
Well, thank you for the question, and it's a great opportunity to remind Canadians that although we all want to be together, I want more than anything to be able to stop working from home and be able to be at announcements like this with my colleagues. These are normal feelings, but now is the time to actually continue to reduce our harm and our risk to each other. And so, although it's Easter, we continue to ask people to stay in their households, family unit as tightly as possible, to not have friends over, to not expand your household to include others, because this is the time where we do see cases rising across the country. We do see an increase infectiousness rate with these variants. And we also see more people getting very sick. I mean, we are starting to see, increased admissions of young people into the hospital. The ICU, the Premier will be able to speak about this, and this is concerning to everyone. So my message to Canadians is continue to be safe and protect each other. This is about not just protecting our own health, but protecting the people that we love. I know there are other folks that cannot stay home for work. They have to work on the front lines, healthcare workers, pharmacy workers, cleaners, people who are working in retail and other sectors. And for those folks as well, it's our responsibility to keep that infection rate low so that we can all come out of this stronger together.
If I could just make a comment on that. We have been through a Christmas, we've been through a Thanksgiving, we went through last Easter and a host of other things in between. We've missed parties and festivals and gatherings that we all love. If we could just go through, and we've already started well on this with Passover and people who are sacrificing, getting together with family and friends as they do. Easter is to come, Ramadan soon to follow. If we could go through one more cycle of those holidays where we forego that getting together with people other than those with whom we live, then not only will we keep people healthy, but we will be able to enjoy everything else in fairly short order together with the vaccinations that will help us get there. And I think most people, if they think about it for just 1 minute, would take that trade anytime. Sacrifice those holidays that are very important holidays now, family holidays, faith holidays, sacrifice the getting together that goes with those normally one more time. Get vaccinated and we'll be back to a much more normal life before too long. And I think that's a deal worth all of us making together. But we've got to do it together. It's not about government, it's about people, all of us deciding together that's what we're going to do.
I think I commented on this a few minutes ago, but I agree with the Minister and the Mayor, and let's be vigilant. Let's be careful throughout the holidays. We saw a little jump over at Christmas when everyone got together, and please just be vigilant.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our following question is from David Ryder from the Toronto Star. Please go ahead. À vous la parole.
Hi there. This question is for Mayor Tory. Mayor Tory, on CP24 this morning, you were asked if there's another lockdown, if it should be province-wide, and you said that there was a lack of consistency of being a challenge for everyone as far as the public trying to understand what's going on. And you said, quote, what we need is a really sustained period for a couple of weeks where everybody just says, you know what, we're going to defeat this thing. And later you said, we're going to sort of hunker down and defeat this. And I think we need to move quickly to do whatever it is we're going to do. Are you calling for a province-wide or region-wide lockdown?
What I'm calling for more than anything else is the absolute sustained 100% cooperation of people. Because in the end, the government can have all governments can have all the schemes they want and all the regimes and color-coded frameworks and rules and regulations, but people have to decide that it really is important to them at this point in time that we're going to put this thing behind us. And together with the vaccination efforts, I think if we decide for the next few weeks, including the period when we have many very important holidays, that we're going to socialize only with people that we live with, that we're going to keep our distance, we're going to wear our masks, all the things people are very familiar with, and get vaccinated, then we can put this behind us. And I think one thing that has been confusing for people, and I understand why, is we have so many different sets of rules that are applicable in different places and different vaccination programs. More we can make that consistent, the more it can be simple and simply understood by people, the better off we'll be. So I'm in favor of consistency. I'm in favor of a degree of uniformity that has it easily understood by people, but I'm most of all in favor of solidarity of people deciding we are going to work together collectively, as we've done so far quite well, but we just have to do it for a while longer and really focus hard on that. And I think that's what's more important than any of the rules anybody could ever put in place.
Thank you. And my follow-up, Mayor, is on vaccine supply. The number of doses we got on Monday, I think it was about 35,000, appears to be a lot less than in the schedule that Chief Pegg had said earlier in March that we were expecting. Is the supply of vaccine to Toronto on course to be able to open all of the City of Toronto vaccine clinics?
I will tell you, we're continuing with our program, and we have, as of this moment, some unscheduled or unfilled appointments, which we're going to work hard, and I've been talking with the Premier about that, of finding different ways to work hard to fill those appointments. And of course, we would not be trying to fill those appointments if we weren't confident that we'd have the vaccine supply necessary to make those injections into people's arms. So our focus at the moment is to make sure that we fill all the appointments we have. We will open the clinics that we're scheduled to open. We will have those appointments available for people, and we hope that they will go and sign up online or by telephone for those appointments through a provincial system that has worked very well for us. And we're focused on that. And we're talking with the province every single day, without exception, about supply going forward in order to make sure that we can ramp up our capacity as best we can and as soon as we can to do as many vaccinations as we can as quickly as possible. That's our objective. That's their objective. And we're working together to make sure we can do that.
Thank you. Our last question is from Tessie Sensi from Hill Times Research. Please go ahead. À vous la parole. Ms. Sensi, your line is open. You may proceed with your question.
Apologies. Yes. So my first question will be from the executives from Sanofi. And if whoever's speaking can identify themselves, that would be great. Minister Champagne has said that Sanofi chose Canada, but pharma companies haven't had the greatest relationship with this government, especially in light of changes to drug pricing, with companies, including yours, saying they're concerned that fewer drugs will launch. Why choose Canada if there's such a big concern about upcoming regulations? And what would you say to Canada about making this an even more attractive place to invest?
Okay, Vincent Hingot, do you want to take it?
Yeah, so thank you, and thank you for the question. So for me, it has been said during my speech and others, I think that, okay, we are having already an asset in Canada with the Toronto site since a century right now, where we are having already a good base in terms of scientists, good scientists, very good scientists. And okay, this is making a difference as well. Also, the excellent relationship and the partnership, I would say, that we have established with all levels in the Canadian government is giving me confidence that actually that's the place to go. And well, yes, and okay, we are having also already, as you should know, a big investment ongoing on the Toronto side right now that had started in 2018. And we are receiving very strong support from the local authorities, for the province, and also for federal, for such kind of investment. So for me, that was, let's say, the best option for such kind of investment for Sanofi.
Okay, I'll go to my follow-up then. And this would be for Minister Hajdu and Minister Champagne. A related question. As you have these conversations with drug companies about how to improve investment in Canada, are concerns about PMPRB coming up, and what are you telling companies?
Well, thank you for the question. What I will say is that obviously we've worked extensively with the pharmaceutical sector on proposed changes to the PMPRB. And of course, we've had some of those conversations have been difficult conversations, but I think one thing that we all agree on, and that is that medication has to be more widely accessible and affordable for Canadians. So we're going to continue to work with the sector and with the industry to make sure that we can have investments like today, which strengthen obviously the future of the sector in Canada, but also that we do proceed together on a path where Canadians can afford the medication they need. Look, we all know stories of people who have not been able to afford medications that can not only prolong their lives, but enhance their productivity and keep them in the workforce, keep them healthy and happy, being able to raise their children or participate in their community. And that's the goal of this government. The goal of this government is to make sure that nobody goes without. And the PMPRB changes are a step in that path to achieving a country where people are not forced to make really awful decisions between whether or not they pay for medication or buy groceries for their family.
If I can just add, in the different conversation I have with CEOs, what has come out the most is that Canada is a safe bet. They see Canada's stability, predictability, rule of law, security of supply in terms of supply chain. But I think Premier Ford said it, and Mayor Tory and the colleagues and Vic, it's people, people, people. It is talent that attract investments. That's why you have companies like Sanofi, and Vincent said it. Obviously, when you have significant investment like that, anchor investment, I would say, government have to be part of the equation. We've seen it in all G7 countries. But I think the message is that today, and in my talks, and I've been talking to almost all CEOs of pharma companies in this country, is to say, I think people want more resiliency. People want to see, we've seen global supply chain going more regional, people putting more emphasis on resiliency and efficiency. And when you see an investment like that, that should give confidence. And we heard the mayor is going to do everything every day to make that a success. We heard from the premier who said that's why people chose Ontario, because we have the ecosystem that we want to rebuild, and Minister Hajdu said it. And the same thing with Vic. We're going to continue. This is one. But we have said that we want to rebuild our biomanufacturing sector. It's high on innovation, provides good jobs, provides the type of investments we want in research. The Premier said it. You're talking about investment of $79 million per year for the next 8 years in research and development. That's the type of thing we want to track in Canada. And the fact that we've been able to partner with a flagship company like Sanofi Pasteur says it all, in my view, that we are able to attract them. Obviously, there's long-term discussions we need to have. Mr. Hajdu said it well, but we want to take strategic, immediate actions with a long-term vision. That has been the message to all CEOs, and we'll continue to do that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so
Ceci conclut notre période de questions. J'aimerais retourner la parole à M. Marino. Back to you, Mr. Marino.
okay, well, thank you very much for the questions and all the remarks. What a wonderful day. What a wonderful announcement. And this concludes our press conference. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Merci. The conference has now ended. Please disconnect your lines at this time, and we thank you for your participation. La conférence est maintenant terminée. Veuillez s'il vous plaît raccrocher votre ligne et merci à tous les participants qui se sont joints.